Hello and welcome to Unworthy History. On today's episode, I'm going to bring you some actual history from this book right here, Indian Depredations in Texas by J.W. Wilbarger. So the story I'm going to read today takes place in Brown County around the year 1861, and it's called J.H. Chrisman. In the year 1861, Mr. Chrisman and three others, to wit, T.B. Saunders, Ambrose Lathan, and Pat Gallagher, left Camp Colorado to go to Gatesville for the purpose of getting firearms repaired. Saunders was their guide, and as he was riding in front of the others, he discovered on ascending a high hill a number of Indians driving a caballada of stolen horses. He waited until his companions came up and then showed them the Indians, who were coming towards them rapidly. The question was, shall we fight or shall we run? Finally, they concluded to stand their ground. The point at which the Indians were discovered was between Pecan Bayou and Blanket Creek in Brown County. J.H. Chrisman, being the oldest man, was given the command. He immediately ordered the men to dismount and prepare for the conflict. Having examined their guns and pistols and seen that they were all well loaded and in order, the Rangers remounted their horses and at once charged upon the Indians, who by that time had advanced within 100 yards of them. The Rangers, as they charged upon the Indians, kept motioning back with their hands, as if they were beckoning to others behind them to come on, and the Indians, supposing they were the advance guard of a company, abandoned their stolen horses and took to flight. Besides, they were only armed with bows and arrows, and when the Rangers charged them, their bows were unstrung. The Rangers pursued them so vigorously that they had no time to rally. Finally, however, 5 of them got together, and having succeeded in stringing their bows, they began shooting at the Rangers as they advanced, but they were so excited that their arrows flew wide of the mark. The Rangers then charged upon them furiously, firing as they advanced, killing one and wounding or scaring the others so badly that they fled as fast as their horses could carry them. The Rangers followed them for about half a mile further, and finding they had completely dispersed the crowd for the time being, they made haste to return to the place where the Indians had abandoned the stolen horses before they could collect together again. There were 36 head of these horses, and as it was late in the day and 10 miles to the nearest point where they could pen them, they started with them, keeping a good lookout for fear the Indians should pursue them. About 9 o'clock that night they safely reached the house of Jesse Mercer, where they penned and guarded the horses until daylight. It was afterwards discovered that the Indians had found out that they had been stampeded by only 4 men, and that they had followed the Rangers and would undoubtedly have taken their scalps if they had been a few minutes later in reaching Mercer's house, on Mercer's Creek in Comanche County. After leaving Mercer's the next day, they drove the horses to the town of Hamilton, where they penned and guarded them that night, and the following day drove them to Gatesville in Coryell County, and turned the horses into a pasture. Gallagher, who lived some 15 miles from Gatesville, was riding a very fine black mare, and being anxious to get home, separated from the party before reaching town. The Rangers suspicioned that they were being followed by Indians, but of this they were not sure. Subsequent events, however, proved that their suspicions were not ill-founded. The night they turned their horses in the pasture in Gatesville, R.B. Wells, who lived within 1 mile of town, had his horse stolen, and on the same night, Gallagher's fine mare was also stolen from his residence. 3 days after this, 5 Indians were intercepted in Lampasas County by some Rangers, who killed one of them and captured a bunch of horses. About 1 month later, in the light of the moon, while another party of Rangers under Lieutenant Chandler were guarding one of the passes at Santa Ana Mountain in Coleman County, through which the Indians had always passed with their stolen horses in getting out of Coryell and Lampasas counties, 4 Indians were discovered with a large caballada of horses while attempting to pass through the gap. The Rangers charged the Indians, who at once attempted to save themselves by flight, abandoning all their horses. 2 Indians were killed in the chase that ensued, and the other 2 were severely wounded. As an evidence of the fact that they were the same Indians attacked by Chrisman's party, the horse stolen from R.B. Wells was captured, and also the fine black mare belonging to Gallagher. One of the Indians was riding the latter animal when he was killed. So out of the 6 Indians, only 2 finally made their escape, and they were badly wounded. So that's the end of this story right here. So as we can see, the settlers were able to get all their horses back, and from this one band of Indians who were raiding in this area around 1861, only about 2 of them out of the 6 survived. So if you want to hear more episodes like this, then be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Unworthy History.